Geoff Bodine eventually bought the team.
Right.
How much of an adjustment was there in working with him?
Geoff he's been a driver all his life, right? So he knew the driving part of it. He didn't know the owning part of it. So trying to coach him along the way and get what he wanted in the cars. He had his own little mindset, you might say, on what he wanted in a car, things he did, things he wanted to feel. So trying to get those things going, and then fill him in on what we had for inventory of cars, and then that was kind of more of a, I wouldn't say a learning curve, but he had to learn the owning part of it, the ownership part of it, and we had to teach him the, what we had. Not teach him, but just let him know what we had and what we were doing in this track and that track, and he'd want to give his input on what to do or what road course racing he was pretty strong in road course racing back then, and we built a special road race car, for him for Watkins Glen, and then Sears Point then, and then anyway, I think he came on after Sears Point, but I think we might have built a road course car for him for Watkins Glen, that year, and I know we did for the next year for sure. But it's just trying to just inform him more than anything else. I think is kind of what we did most of all. Different guy to work with compared to Alan. Alan was his own person, so he left. Car-wise was 100% whatever I thought I needed to do, and he'd give me a little input on setup, so that was a different adjustment for me, because that's not what I've been doing, all my life with Alan, so it's kind of like, here's what I want to run, and then when we get there, then we kind of adjust from there, and so, we went off, Alan and I went off history, what we've done in the past, and that's kind of how we did things, But yeah, that's kind of how we did things, it was a different deal for sure. He was there every day, of the, trying to make things run from a business standpoint too.
You guys became basically the flagship team for Hoosier.
Yeah.
The following year. How big an issue was that for you in setting up the car?
It actually was not bad, but
with
that being said,
okay,
we tested a lot. I don't remember how many races there were in '94, but if there was 35 races, we tested 37 times.
Wow,
double. I mean, so we had double the schedule. So the tire was different. It had its own things, but once you kind of got that figured out, and obviously we worked close with the Hoosier engineers. And I knew the construction we had going to a test, and I knew construction we had at the so once we kind of got along there, or when they had construction changes, I was there. I knew every bit of the construction change we had, and was part of the not necessarily decision process, but part of the process on deciding what tire to take. And then of course when we come back to the racetrack, there was no. Now when you go do a tire test and you don't know all the little small ins and outs. Even when I go to do a general tire test for ARCA right now, it's still, you don't know all the ins and outs. Back then, I knew everything. I was informed every step of the way, and that helped. So being able to set up those cars for that, and that tire had a few things it really liked, especially on the intermediates. Had a few things it really liked that most people wouldn't have done, So that was, I wouldn't say it made it easier, but it helped, even though it about killed us. Because the same guys that tested are the same guys that went to the racetrack.
Wow. Wow.
That was a great year. We had we had won a lot of races. We had some problems, we had some failures. Unfortunately, and because we were on. If you could go back and look at our finishes, where we were running when we had a failure. We'd have won the points by hands down, especially with the old point system back then. So, yeah, it's a shame we couldn't capitalize on the championship for Geoff back then.